Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. In the first story, we'll tell you why the boss should sometimes listen to his subordinates, especially if they found a serious mistake. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. It's fine, G-Diet. My dad's friend, let's call him Marco because he's in marketing, works at the marketing department of a big cosmetics company's regional headquarters. Now, my country is big and almost every state speaks a different language and has different cultures. So ads are generally tailored per state, but sometimes only translations will do. Not too important to this story, but it sets the atmosphere. This cosmetic company has been struggling to sell one of their winter lotions for some years now, but when it was launched, it was an instant bestseller because there was no other like it in the market. But in the 15 years or so since it was launched, the competition had caught up and even surpassed it in some cases. So obviously, they increased the price of the product. Sarcasm. Back when it first launched, it had a nice ad with a really catchy jingle which helped sell the product in droves. Marco's boss had the bright idea of running a translation of that ad on the TV network of this state, so he got the ad translated and called for Marco to get it distributed. Marco, being the diligent employee that he is, went straight to his computer and decided to take a look at the ad before sending it off. Once he was done watching it, he found a really major error, so off he went to the boss to ask what to do about it. Marco: "Hey boss, I watched the ad and I think you should know." Boss: "Just air it." "But sir, there's this." "I said just air it." "But sir." "It's fine, G-Diet, just air it." "But look here, I'm a double MBA from this country's leading university while you're just a graduate. Do as I say." All right then. So Marco sent it off to the networks and sat back. Within a week, the CEO of the company was down at the branch shouting at Boss. Boss tried to throw Marco under the bus, but everyone had heard Boss scream at Marco to just air it. You see, back during the airing of the original ad 15 years ago, the product cost around 70 cents per tube. The product now costs $2.04 because of inflation. In his infinite wisdom, Boss had gotten the ad translated for cheap, but the editors didn't remove the bit about the cost that was at the very end. So the ad aired in the state with a very nice lady saying it cost just 70 cents right at the conclusion of the ad. So of course people flocked to the ad to get the lotion that now costs 66% less, but to their dismay found that the pricing on the ad was a lie. People were of course angry, to the point that some retailers refused to stock their lotion because customers would become aggressive when the quoted price was so much more than the price shown on the ad. Instead of sales going up, they went drastically down. Corporates started getting furious complaints, all of them from the same state, so the higher-ups had to intervene. Marco had caught this error and had tried to tell the boss about it, but he wouldn't listen. The ad got pulled, the company offered a discount on the product as an apology, and since it was just a regional debacle, no one got fired or transferred. And our second story. That's all you pay me for. I work for a contractor doing custodial work for a casino. To preface this, I took this job mainly because it didn't involve management in any way. I've worked in management most of my career and was just burnt out. When I started this job, I was made aware by the recruiter/assistant, who I'll call Amy, she's lovely, that a lot of the people that worked for the site only spoke Spanish and that there may be some difficulties with communication from time to time. This wasn't a problem for me as Amy spoke English and was currently managing the contract because the actual contract manager was on medical leave due to having surgery. I'm the kind of person that works very hard, mainly because I take pride in my work ethic. As soon as I started, I downloaded Duolingo, an app that's used to teach foreign languages, and began to learn as much Spanish as I could so I could better communicate with my coworkers. I'm still learning, but know enough to understand my coworkers most of the time. Most of my coworkers are lazy. They're oftentimes on their phones while on the casino floor, huddled in groups, or hiding in the locker rooms to avoid doing work. I, on the other hand, have regularly gotten compliments from the company we're in a contract with about my work ethic, so much so that the president himself has sent emails to my company to show his gratitude for my hard work, as well as giving me some free merchandise with the company logo. Here's where the story gets more interesting. We are ridiculously short-staffed. On a regular shift, we're supposed to have 10 custodians working, cleaning the machines, the bathrooms, keeping trash off the casino floors, taking out trash, mopping the bar and restaurant, restocking all the supplies, etc. Oftentimes, we'll have 5 people on a shift or less, with my coworkers being fairly lazy. That means a lot of stuff doesn't get done. I'm regularly doing most of the shift's workload by myself, as well as picking up the slack for the other shifts because they too are extremely short-staffed. The actual contract manager finally comes back from medical leave about 3 months into me working there. We'll call her Sally. At first, me and Sally get along great. She thanked me for my work ethic and for everything I've been doing. All of that changes when I asked for 3 days off. We'd been working mandatory overtime, and up until then, I was there for nearly 60 hours every week because we were short-staffed. Initially, Sally agrees to my time off request. I filled out the paperwork and made copies for myself, just in case. Managerial background. A week before the days I requested come up, and she puts out the schedule, and my time off wasn't applied. I approach Sally and ask her why. She says that someone else put in for time off. This other person is the laziest of all my coworkers and regularly acts as a supervisor because she's worked there the longest and is the only person that can understand a little bit of English. I tell Sally that I think this is extremely unfair considering that I put in my time off request over 2 months ago and had made sure that no one else had requested the same days beforehand. Sally explains that she doesn't have any paperwork to prove that, so I give her my copy, which I'd placed in my work bag. This is when Sally decides to show her true colors. Do you want to do my job? Do you think you can manage this case better than I can? No. I don't pay you to come in here to argue with me. You aren't a manager. You aren't a supervisor. You're a janitor. That's it. That's all I pay you for. I keep what Sally said in my mind and just keep my head down at work for a few months after this. At this point of my employment, Sally's getting in trouble by the higher-ups for the lack of employees and retention that's occurring at our site, as well as the company we work for is not satisfied with her performance managing everyone. It's not really a secret as we have regional and district management coming in frequently to try and help people get hired and play peacekeepers between Sally and the casino CEO. Finally, we're getting new people hired thanks to a temp agency that was contracted in to help. A lot of the new hires only speak English. The others only speak Spanish. Other than the lazy coworker who's now on vacation, 3 weeks, the only person that can speak and understand both English and Spanish is me. The morning the new hires arrive, everyone's gathered in the office, including Sally's boss. They go through orientation, only speaking English for the new hires, and begin to give everyone their assignments. This is when Sally comes up to me. OP, I need you to train the new hires today and make sure everyone else is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Me. Does this mean that I'm being made a supervisor? Sally, who apparently forgot our previous conversation. No, but you're the only one that can speak English and Spanish, so I need you to make sure everyone's doing what they're scheduled to do. Me, with a blank expression. I'm sorry, Sally, but I can't do that. I'm not a manager. I'm not a supervisor. And I'm not a translator. I'm a janitor. That's all you pay me for, remember? Sally at this point is trembling with rage and starts screaming at me about doing what I'm told to do and dropping my attitude, etc. I look her dead in the eye with her supervisor, whom she forgot was behind her, and pulled my resignation out of my bag and handed it to her and walked out, knowing full well that now they were going to have a lot more issues because their best worker quit. And there was no one that could effectively communicate between the workers and the company we were contracted with. Skip forward to the next week, and I get a phone call from Mr. Regional Manager. Hello, OP. This is Mr. So-and-so. I want to formally apologize for the behavior of our former employee, Miss Sally. She's been relieved of her position, and we'd like you to come back and work with us in a supervisory position. I'm now a supervisor, and they're paying me to take Spanish lessons, which once I complete, I'm supposed to get a significant raise. And our last story. HR tried to get rid of my dad right before he was able to get his pension. My father worked for a Forbes 500 company since the 70s, moved up the ranks as a software engineer in management, had patents for the company that saved it millions of dollars. He's almost to pension age, and suddenly HR starts making his life miserable. He noticed this trend was happening to some of his coworkers when they were getting close to 60 as well. HR lady calls him into the office and says he was not punching in and out at the correct time. My father, an engineer, is very detail-oriented, and he knew these were false accusations and asked HR to prove it. They came back a week later and couldn't prove it, and he said, "Of course you can't. I've been driving the corporate carpool bus from a major city 40 miles away from the company for the last 15 years. I always have 16 witnesses on my clock-in time and haven't been late in 15 years. HR lady came back a week later and said that they were going to fire him for letting people into the building without badging. He asked to see when and where he was letting someone into the building without badging. They showed that he held the door for his best friend, who'd also been working there since the 70s, who had his foot cut off after having type 2 diabetes. He was in a wheelchair. Prior to this, my dad took the chief of security out for lunch and told him how the company wanted him to leave before he got his pension, so he got some footage of his own. My dad said, "That's very interesting. You're going to fire me for holding the door open for my best friend of 35 years after his foot was amputated and he was in a wheelchair? Fine, then I hope you fire the CEO and yourself as well." He then proceeded to show footage of the HR lady holding the door for his friend and the CEO holding the door for his friend. My father ended up staying there until he got his pension. Edit. I don't know his finances, and he probably wouldn't have lost the whole pension, but there was a definite financial difference from being fired prior to reaching age 60 and making it to age 60. Update. Dad quit that job a while ago and made his own company in his retirement. He's used his own money to patent a new invention that desalinates seawater and provides clean solar energy. He has patents for this in America, India, and China, and is looking for some capital to provide clean water and power to third world countries. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.